Hi there. This is just a brief snapshot about the history of psychology, kind of just what it is, how it's been throughout history, and kind of explain where we're at today with everything. All right, so if we look at psychology as a field, it's technically defined as the scientific study of the human mind and then its functions. All right, so we want to understand more about the brain itself as an organism and then the function of that organ. All right, so when we look at that, the three primary areas that we see that psychology focuses on is thoughts, feelings, behavior. All right, so how do we think and process information? What's the things that go into that? The actual emotions or feelings that we experience, and then the actions or behaviors that we perform. All right, we want to see each of those individually, and also how the three interconnect with each other. All right, and how that overall helps us better understand who we are as people and why we do the things that we do. Right? As far as the history of psychology, this actually is something that goes back thousands of years, and like most disciplines, actually, it has its roots in philosophy. Right? So, for example, if we look at somebody like Aristotle, right, he explored concepts related to sleep and dreams, the memories that we have and how they function, our five senses, right? All the same things that we're still talking about today, modernly, right? So those same concepts being explored. Then you have something like Descartes, where he talks about interactive dualism, right? So we have our brain that controls everything that we do, but then do we have something else separate from that? Not physically our brain, but maybe mentally as our mind, right? What's the origin of thought? Where does that actually come from, and how does that interact with each other? And we're even going to see things like the nature versus nurture debate, right? That's rooted in most disciplines, and we're going to see it definitely here within psychology as well. As a field itself, though, Wilhelm Wundt, right, in the late 1800s, he is considered the founder of psychology, right? So he was a German psychologist, and he started the first kind of like official lab to start studying the principles that are related, again, to our brain, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Right? So he kind of started everything late 1800s. Okay. Around that same time, we also have William James. All right. So William James is oftentimes considered the father of American psychology. So he's kind of started things here in the United States. He also published the first textbook for psychology, which is important because if you want this to be a discipline that people can study in school, and you want that to grow and have different programs throughout the country, different colleges offering this, it sounds weird, but we need a textbook, right? We need something that we can actually study out of to make it a lot bit easier. How can we take the research that we've gathered and coalesce it into one place to make it a little bit easier? And then throughout that, we're going to see some key people that have contributed to the field over time. So you're going to have somebody like Freud. Even though he wasn't directly related to psychology, he's very closely associated with it, and he contributed a lot of those key early theories to the field. You're going to have people like Pavlov, again, not technically a psychologist, but he contributed key understandings to our field, and he helped us understand more about our behavior and maybe why we do the things that we do. You're going to see people like John Watson and B.F. Skinner, same thing, helping us understand more about the root of our behavior and how we can shape and change those over time. You're going to see also within, there was like a third force within psychology, and it's mainly rooted in the humanistic perspective. So we're going to people like Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow, and they're going to help us understand more about how we can understand like our key motivations in life, and how that might also apply to the counseling or clinical perspective as we're trying to help people work through their different issues and problems. And so if we fast forward to today and look at all the major perspectives of psychology, each of those key areas, thoughts, feelings, and behavior, all those are represented. All we're going to do is add in a whole bunch more. Right? So basically anything that has to do with those three things, or any combination of those three things, we can study that within psychology. Right? So most people who go into this field tend to be in certain kind of areas. And so we'll see a lot of them are associated with university type settings, so either teaching or doing research. You'll see some doing research outside of those settings, and then you're going to see a lot of people in actual clinical practice. Right? So teaching research, research outside of education. There are going to be some in business and helping them do things with business, and then on the clinical side, actually helping people work through different issues and problems. Those are some of the key areas that we're going to see people working in with psychology.